Housing Authority. I'm a member of the WISE Trust Fund, Williamstown Independent School Education Trust Fund. I'm a member of FLAG and have been for 4 years the chairman of that. I'm a member of the Grand County Chamber of Commerce. I'm also a board member of the Northern Kentucky Action Community, chairman-elect of the Northern Kentucky Area Development District, and I am board member of the Kentucky League of Cities. Committee members, I'm a committee member for the National League of Cities, Energy and Environment and Natural Resource Committee. I was named Grand County of the Year in 2012 and named 2016 Williamstown Independent School Wall of Fame recipient. Thank you.
Ms. Murphy, you have 2 minutes for an opening statement.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, friends, family, and neighbors, and thank you all so much for being a part of this evening and sticking it out with us. We greatly appreciate it. I first want to give a heartfelt good luck and go band to the Williamstown Marching Band, as well as our friends at the Grant County Marching Band as they prepare for state finals this week. Anyone that's ever had a band gig knows that this is a very important week in their lives. My name is Bren Murphy. I'm the mother of 3 amazing teenage daughters, Mallory, Jada, and Caitlin, wife of 17 years to my best friend, Dustin, a small business owner in downtown Williamstown now for 5 years, and I'm an active citizen of this community. I'm the Merchants President and the chair of the Williamstown Main Street Merchants Association, as well as serve on several committees and boards, including community projects such as Farm to Table, Work Readiness, the Spears Foundation, and others. I'm not a politician. I've never been mayor, nor have I ever held the experience therein, but I do have successful private sector background. I have passion, willingness, and the desire to see this community so much more than it's been allowed to be. I'm a hard worker who never gives up and loves a good challenge and will do whatever it takes to ensure a bright future for the city of Williamstown. Some of my earliest memories as a child are sitting on the front porch at my Uncle Virgil Chandler's house. He'd tell us stories of Williamstown and its history as he'd carve one of his famous walking sticks, or going up the long set of steps of the old Wigington building to go to my great-grandma Effie's house. Heritage and history are very important to me, and though I haven't been a citizen of this community my entire life, my heritage starts right here in the heart of Williamstown, Kentucky. I love this community, its rich history, its stories, and its potential. I believe in this community and want the opportunity to make Williamstown, Kentucky a place my children and grandchildren can be proud to call home. Together, I believe that we truly can make a difference, and it's time to let Williamstown shine. Thank you.
Ms. Murphy, we'll start with you. What is your vision for Williamstown if elected mayor?
Thank you, Jamie. My vision if elected Williamstown mayor would be, first off, to create a network between the city administration, between current business owners, current property owners, potential business owners, the schools, the colleges, and create an ability for people to learn about being a business owner, things to do to grow their business, as well as to create readiness programs so that the vacant buildings that we currently have in Williamstown can be seen by potential business owners. Unfortunately, we have a lot of empty buildings right now that have great potential, and we definitely could use the growth in Williamstown. So building from the inside out. Downtown, I believe, is the pulse of any good community, and it's time to kind of revitalize that so that we can start bringing more life into our community.
Mr. Skinner, what is your vision for Williamstown?
I think we've had a successful 8 years, and some of the things we've accomplished with the ARC encounter and new wastewater plant and new water plant in our infrastructure. I think now we're focused more into, which we have been, but a more focused effort on new developments that's coming into the area. We know we're close to a new hotel. We just can't quite announce that yet, but we know we're very positive in that it will come soon. So in the next 4 years, I would like to focus mainly on businesses and hotels and motels that I think we desperately need in Williamstown.
Mr. Skinner, this question's for you. What role do you believe Williamstown should play in providing or helping fund EMS for its citizens?
Well, I understand that the Dry Ridge situation isn't fair to Dry Ridge, that they either need help from the county or if Dry Ridge were decide to pull back and do just Dry Ridge, that would be fine. But I think that's a county decision, not a city decision. I think the taxes that we pay as residents of the county should address the EMS issue.
Ms. Murphy, same question. What role do you believe Williamstown should play in providing or helping fund EMS for its citizens?
This is one area that Mr. Skinner and I probably think very closely alike. I do think that this is an issue that we need to look at from a county-wide perspective, more so than each municipality. I understand that Dry Ridge has taken off quite a bit financially because of the EMT services. However, I do believe that there are the possibilities to do other things so that the burden doesn't lay directly on one person's shoulders over the other.
Okay. Ms. Murphy, this question's for you. The ARC Encounter has been open for more than 2 years now in Williamstown. In what ways has the tourist attraction brought change to the city, and in what ways can the city better capitalize on the tourism it has brought here?
Well, recently I had a conversation with someone from the ARC Encounter, and since 2010 and the conception of the ARC and their decision to come to Williamstown, there's been a actual 8-year gap from the moment that it was conceived and an idea till now, their 2-year anniversary, where we're setting at 2018. There hasn't been a lot of readiness or preparation in getting ready for all of that influx of people. They've been open now 2 years. They're projected 1 million people a year. That's 2 million people that potentially have been right outside the gates of our own community. As a small business owner in downtown Williamstown, I see a very small percentage of those people each day. I would venture to say less than 1% if I had to put a number on it. And that's unfortunate because my doors are less than 2 miles away from their doors. So we have to create a bridge and bridge that gap, if you will, of people that are coming and people that are here, give them something more to do, create an atmosphere of potential growth and things for the visitors from all over the world, because they're coming. We just have to be better prepared for them once they get here.
Mr. Skinner, the ARC Encounter has been open for more than 2 years now. In what ways has the tourist attraction brought change to the city, and in what ways can the city better capitalize on the tourism it has brought here?
Yeah, I think the ARC's doing exactly what they said they would do. They're bringing the visitors, and it's up to us to make sure that they visit downtown and any other things in Williamstown. But I think the biggest thing for us to do right now is concentrate on the hotels and motels that we need in this area. I know when I travel that we'll go to the tourist attraction and then we'll go to the hotel, change, and then decide what we want to do. Well, in this instance, I think that's what they're doing. They're either going to Florence or Georgetown or somewhere else, and then they're looking for something to do in that area. I think when we get the hotels and motels built, not only in Dry Ridge, but the ones that I think will be coming to Williamstown, we'll have a better chance of capturing those that will be coming to visit the ARC.
Mr. Skinner, we'll start with you for this question. Let's turn the clock forward by 4 years. What will be different in the city of Williamstown as we are nearing the end of 2022 because you were elected mayor?
The developments that we started on the Patnell property across from Easy Stop, I think you'll see hotels and restaurants into that section and other sections that we have ready for development. I think because of that, you'll see more stores and shops in downtown Williamstown. I think those shops will be specialty shops. I think we'll see more like what Brand has with a coffee shop, those kind of things, small novelty shops, things like that. But I think that's what I would expect after 4 years.
Okay. And Ms. Murphy, if you were elected mayor and we are nearing the end of 2022, how will the city look different?
The city will be full of life. I can promise you that. Pocket Park on Main Street, open air market. It's something that a lot of us have talked about. We've had people look at it, design it. It'll be a beautiful thing. A community center with a multi-purpose room, with the basketball court, as well as a stage so we can do some community building through, games and different things of that nature. A closer relationship with Kentucky Heritage Council, who has great ideas, and we can build a lot of great, wonderful things here in the community because of that. But moreover than anything, there'll be life. You'll see the shops, you'll see the hotels, you'll see people excited, you'll see people walking their dog and going to the parks that Mr. Skinner's worked to put in. People will be here. I hear every day how many people used to be here 20 years ago and 25 years ago, and I can't wait for our streets to be filled again with those same people and more people, our grandkids and our children, and them bringing their friends and family. So life is what will happen in 4 years.
Okay, we'll move into closing statements. Ms. Murphy, you have 2 minutes to make a closing statement.
I may not have ever been a mayor. I may not have ever been on city council, but in my life, I have lived and worked in many things and been very successful at them, such as being an administrator, being a boss, being a leader. But more important than any of that, more important than any of the words on a page, I have passion and drive for this community. I truly wake up every single morning, no matter whether I'm at home or on vacation or wherever, and all I think about is Williamstown. If I go to a community, I'm thinking, what could I do in Williamstown like this? Everything that I do revolves around this community. My kids are here, my business is here, my life is here. And I truly want nothing more than this community to be as successful as it truly should be. And that's all I ask, is for that opportunity to make this county or this community shine.
Mr. Skinner, you have 2 minutes for closing statement.
First, I want to thank the Grant County News and Grant County Chamber for putting this event on, and especially for you in the audience that stuck around for this. We appreciate that. 2 years ago, I had decided that I wasn't going to seek re-election. I had set out that Kim Crupper had announced that he was going to run for mayor. He had 27 years of experience on city council, so I thought, well, that would be a good thing. When Kim decided not to run, I talked to my wife, and we decided that yes, that I still wanted to be a part of it. And I will tell you that I am all in on this, that I want to be the mayor for the next 4 years. I'm dedicated to Williamstown. I grew up here. It's where I raised my children, and I want to be mayor again. I think the last 8 years, have been very successful. We've got the ARC here. It took 5.5 years to go through all the memorandums of understanding, all the development agreements, but we got them here and we opened them. It was one of my best things that I was allowed to do as mayor was to actually cut the ribbon. So we had a good working relationship with the ARC. I think the ARC is doing what they said they would do. We've improved our wastewater by building a new building. We've improved the water plant. We've upgraded the electric. We attracted the MGP, the warehousing for whiskey, which will store 130 barrels in 2 warehouses. And for that by itself would be about $150,000 of tax money coming back into the city of Williamstown over the next 4 years. That's almost the same amount that would go to the city of Williamstown. So I ask for your vote November 6th, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
And voters will be choosing between one of these 2 candidates for Williamstown mayor. Thank you all for being here. And now we'll move into Williamstown City Council race. And candidates appearing on stage first will be Robert Perry, Matthew Smith, Ronnie Maines, Kim Crupper, and Donnie Young. All right, we'll get started. I'll let you know the timekeeper is down front. If she holds up the 30-second sign, you have 30 seconds to finish your answer. And if you hear the bell ring, your time is up. We'll start with opening statements. Mr. Perry, we'll start with you. You have 2 minutes for an opening statement.
My name is Bob Perry. I've been on council for 17 years. My wife, Janet, is an ordained minister. I have 4 sons, 2 daughters, 28 grandkids, and 6 great grandkids. I've lived in Williamstown all of my life, except for 8 years in Marianna, Florida. And then we moved back here. And after graduation, I went to work for AT&T on the road for 3 years and then back to Williamstown. And I retired from there with 37 years service.
Mr. Smith, you have 2 minutes for an opening statement.
Okay, my name's Matthew Smith. I'm obviously, from the looks I'm getting from most people, you have not seen me before because I'm not originally from Williamstown. I've lived in Williamstown for about 6 years now. Grew up and was originally from Lexington. I opened my law practice, Campbell and Smith Law. Instead of giving an address, I usually just say where Dr. Goodman's old office is. Most people know where that's at. That's also where I live. My practice is about 80% help doing elder law and helping people with disabilities. I live there with my fiance, Lindsay, who also works with us. I have an 11-year-old son, David Henry. This is my first stint at being on the city council. I've enjoyed it thoroughly. I moved to Williamstown after living in Lexington. I went back to law school. It was a second career for myself. And being originally from Lexington, my law partner was in Northern Kentucky, and we found Williamstown right off of 75. I started clerking with an attorney here and fell in love with the town and thought it was a great place to live and to work and to start a business. And I'm here to try to serve the community. So thank you.
Mr. Baines, you have 2 minutes for an opening statement.
I would like to thank everyone for coming out this evening. My name is Ronnie Maines, running for Williamstown City Council. I have lived in Williamstown all my life. I'm married to Brenda Maines for 26 years. I have 3 sons, Brian, Curtis, Austin, and 3 granddaughters. I worked as a senior mechanic at DHL CVG Airport for 31 years. I also have been a volunteer in the 4-H for 16 years. I'm running for council because this is my community we live in and care so much about. I believe it's a great place to live. The city is ready to take the next step to bring new businesses like restaurants, hotels, and entertainment to bring revenue into the city. Thank you.
Mr. Crupper, you have 2 minutes for an opening statement.
Thank you, Jamie. I'm Kim Crupper. I've lived here in Williamstown all my life. I've been on city council here for 27 years. Self-employed. I've been self-employed for 38 years. I own Crupper Transport, and I appreciate your consideration in voting for me back on council. I've served with 3 different mayors, and I just appreciate your vote, and it's good to see everybody that's come out tonight to take an interest in our city as well as Grant County, the place that we all call home and love and live here. Thank you.
And Mr. Young, you have 2 minutes for an opening statement.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. My name is Donnie Young. I am running for Williamstown City Council. I am a truck driver for Avert Express. I've lived here in Williamstown going on 17 years. I live here with my beautiful wife, Michelle, and my beautiful daughter, Jocelyn. And I would appreciate your vote on November 6th if you believe we need a new set of eyes on the same old problems. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Young, we'll start with you for the first question. You have 90 seconds for a response. The question is, the ARC Encounter has been open for more than 2 years now in Williamstown. In what ways has the tourist attraction brought change to the city, and in what ways can the city better capitalize on the tourism it has brought here?
Well, we're getting a larger exit out of it. It doesn't seem to have helped the town as much as I would like to have seen it. Maybe if we closed the exit ramp to where they get back on the interstate and force them through town, maybe they would. I don't know. There's a lot that could be done there. Maybe better cooperation between the town and the ARC. I don't know. It would be something we would have to look at in the future. Thank you.
Mr. Crupper, same question. The Ark Encounter has been open for more than 2 years. In what ways has the tourist attraction brought change to the city? And in what ways can the city better capitalize on the tourism it has brought here?
Well, it's, with the Ark here, a lot of folks thought that Williamstown was going to be crowded up and down all the sidewalks, and there'd be traffic jams, and businesses would just spring up overnight. Me personally, I felt like it would take time for the Ark, once it got open and people recognized it, that they would find Williamstown. I firmly believe as the Ark progresses, they have not stopped construction since the day they opened. They are building more attractions each and every day. Time will take for Williamstown to not only, I think, recover, but it will happen as time goes on. Businesses look at a town and they say, I'm not going to be the first one to build, but I really believe that once people see and recognize the potential that Williamstown has, businesses will come here. There's some changes in the making. I understand a motel is seriously looking at Williamstown now, and I feel like in the spring, you'll probably see earth moved and a motel started. So there is progress, but it takes time and patience. So it will be here. Thanks.
Mr. Baines, same question. In what ways has the tourist attraction brought change to the city? And in what ways can the city better capitalize on the tourism it is already bringing here?
Well, I think that Williamstown's ready for business now. We got the new water plant, state of the art. We got sewer plant. We got everything in line for the businesses. Like Kim said, once we get a couple businesses in here, they will come because it's happened before. Yeah. They said they would come, but nothing happened. We got to get somebody here in the city.
Mr. Smith, same question. In what ways has the Ark brought change to the city, and in what ways can the city better capitalize on the tourism it is bringing here?
Since the Ark is come to Williamstown, there's been more traffic. There's been more attention drawn to the city of Williamstown. There's also a whole lot more opportunity. I don't think we've even begun to reach the surface of the opportunity that's available there, but it hasn't happened yet. I know it's going to take time. I feel like, just as Mr. Crupper said, it's going to take time for people to realize all the opportunities that are available in Williamstown. If it weren't for some, just some life things that happened in myself, I might not have ever known about Williamstown. But now we have more attention. We have more people looking at Williamstown. Now it's time for us to capitalize on all the eyes that are on Williamstown in a positive way. And the way to better do that is open communication and cooperation with the Ark. Now, open communication and cooperation with the Ark means coming to the table as equals to discuss what's best for the town of Williamstown, and what can be beneficial for both sides, as opposed to taking orders.
And Mr. Perry, in what ways has the Ark brought change to the city, and in what ways can the city better capitalize on the tourism that is being brought here?
Well, like has been said here already, it's going to take time. But right now, I think we have more stores in Williamstown than we've had for years. And I would like to say, build it and they will come. Well, I don't know if you all know it, but we're fixing to start building a 10-room hotel in Williamstown. It's going to have a restaurant on the street level and one in the back. And it's sorry, I can't say the last name all of a sudden. But anyway, their family's building it. And I have seen pictures of the artist renditions of it, and it's going to be absolutely beautiful on the street side, the paint and so forth. And I think once we get that, I think you'll see more stores coming to Williamstown. Filippo, that's the name I tried to pronounce a while ago. I'm sorry. But I think then is when you'll see more, and when it's completed, and I hope things are getting squared away on things they need from the city and so forth, it is going to be one beautiful building, I can tell you.
Okay, Mr. Perry, this question will start with you. What do you believe are the responsibilities of being a council person, and how will you serve the city residents by more than just attending meetings?
Well, I have always, in the 17 years I've been on, people will call, and this summer, a person called me and says, there's a pothole in front of my drive. Can you get it taken care of? Go up the city building, I turn it in, and it's fixed that day. And I have always believed in being a council member, my personal belief, I have always believed in doing other things. I have been, I ran the car show at the Derby Day for over 10 years, and I assist the man that runs it now at the Baptist Church. Years ago, I coached the Pony League team for 4.5 years, and glad to say we went undefeated the last 2 years, but I'm always willing to put more into it than just going to a city council meeting. And people have called me through the 17 years and say, sidewalks busted in front of the house. Can you talk to somebody? Yes, and we can get it fixed.
All right, Mr. Young, what do you believe are the responsibilities of a city council person, and how will you serve the city residents by more than attending meetings?
Well, if you're going to join city council, you have a vested interest in the city you live in. So I believe I would like to, if elected, join with the mayor and other city council members and go to major corporations and businesses and try to attract them to come to town. We'll have a lot of open land in Williamstown with right on the interstate. And we could sell that land to them and create lots of jobs and opportunities for our residents.
And Mr. Crupper, what do you believe are the responsibilities of a city council person, and how will you serve the city residents outside of more than attending meetings?
Well, from my perspective of being on council, the important things that Williamstown is unique in, and the responsibilities of council is that we're proud of the fact that we keep our taxes respectable for not only us, but for the citizens that vote us there. We just completed a brand new water plant because everybody wants good quality water, and our sewer plant is the state of the art. So with that, we've been thinking, years ahead that we've got our infrastructure in place. So when businesses do come here, we're prepared for that. We've prepared that so that when businesses show up and they take an interest here, we're all willing to sit at the table, listen to what they have, and try in every way in our capacity to make Williamstown the place that they need to be. So Williamstown is competitive, not only with all of its utilities, but I think it's a friendly place for places to look and see, and it's going to get better now that we have a tourist attraction here. So that would be the responsibilities that we see and we have served to make Williamstown the place to have a business here and call home. Thank you.
Mr. Maines, what do you believe are the responsibilities of a council person, and how will you serve the city residents outside of more than attending meetings?
Well, one thing, I'll give my phone number out, and if they got any problems or anything like, the other, council said, and if there's new businesses, like some of the other people said, go after them businesses to come into the county, sell them on the county, because there's, they say rooftops. We ain't got enough rooftops, but people will come from other counties into this county to go to restaurants. We got the art, tourism. I mean, there's a lot of things, we can do.
Mr. Smith, what do you believe are the responsibilities of a council person, and how will you serve the city residents out by more than attending meetings?
I think initially the most important thing for a city council member is to keep in mind the fact that you're stewards of the citizens of Williamstown, and you're deciding on what to spend their tax dollars on. Fiscal responsibility is the number one responsibility on anybody on the city council, because if you're not fiscally responsible, if the opportunities do present themselves to help businesses come in and develop within the city, you're not going to be prepared for that. You're going to be overextended. On a personal note, or more on what I am going to plan on doing and what we have been doing, when you choose or when you decide to vote for who's going to be on your city council, more than anything, and the more importantly than anything, how well they operate is cooperation between them. Something that's very much lacking in this day and age in politics is civility. Sitting down and actually listening to people, hearing the other side, taking that into consideration, and then coming up with an intelligent discussion and problem solving. So from my point of view, that's the most important thing, and that's what I hope to bring outside of just coming and sitting and listening to the meetings, is hearing every side and having a outright discussion as opposed to trying to yell over somebody.
Okay. Mr. Maines, we'll start with you for this question. What do you feel is Williamstown's biggest asset, and what is the city's biggest challenge?
Well, the biggest challenge is like getting businesses in here, and, you know, like we said, if we get the business in here, we'll have more revenue. We won't, you know, and we need the revenue to keep from taxes going up.
What is the city's biggest asset?
The biggest asset is the ARC.
Okay. Mr. Smith, same question. What do you feel is Williamstown's biggest asset, and what is the city's biggest challenge?
The city's biggest asset are its people, the people who live here, because if you're not going to get businesses to come in, no matter how good the possibility of making money is, if they're not going to get the cooperation of the people who live in the city, it's just not going to happen. And what was the other part of the question?
Biggest challenge.
The biggest challenge. The biggest challenge is getting the right businesses to come into Williamstown, because Williamstown is, it's a beautiful place. The people are terrific. They have a strong tradition, a great history, and you want to preserve that. You don't just want any business to come into town. You want the right kind of businesses. So the hardest problem right now that we're facing is not just getting businesses in, it's getting the right kind of businesses that are going to provide from themselves, so that you're not giving them large tax abatements at the penalty of all the other businesses, myself included, are not going to be receiving. So you got to show loyalty to the people who have still been here, and then get the right businesses in.
And Mr. Perry, what do you feel is Williamstown's biggest asset, and what is the city's biggest challenge?
Well, the ARC is one, but what I think is the most important is the people that do serve on the city council and our mayor. We're very friendly to people when they come in. Also, another great asset, which a lot of people don't know, at the old Phillips building, we now have approximately 50,000 barrels of bourbon mash. And they liked us so well, they built another building behind that, and they're going to have about 80,000, so about 130,000 barrels. And once they start taking those out, they will start paying the city so much money, which will be determined at that time, so much money for a barrel. And hopefully then we can keep our prices low on utilities and water and so forth.
What's the city's biggest challenge?
Trying to get more businesses downtown. And like I said, when our 10 room hotel gets built, I think we will get them. And getting other businesses, other besides motels and hotels. But unfortunately, we don't have the nice level land that like Dry Ridge had down on their exit and entrance. But we need to get some bigger businesses back that will hire more people.
Okay. Mr. Young, same question. What is Williamstown's biggest asset, and what is the city's biggest challenge?
I believe the biggest asset is some of the new community leaders we have in town right now. They've done a lot. There's more festivals in town. There's more projects going on in town. Another great asset is the land available at both exits. The challenge to the town is getting more than one business in downtown at a time to come in. one business at a time is not going to survive. We need a bunch of businesses all at once to come into town. That way they can support each other and have plenty of things for people to come and do in town. Thank you.
Mr. Crupper, what do you feel is Williamstown's biggest asset, and what is the city's biggest challenge?
Well, I think the largest asset that the city has is its people that live here. People who live here, and most people live here majority of their lives, and people who come here, they choose to live here. They look at Williamstown, and they have many choices to live other places, but they look at it. They look at our school system here. We have a fine school system. The city itself is open to listening to people. Our city employees, they do a great job. They take care of our utilities, our streets. The nice thing about Williamstown, it makes it unique. If you call in to have a problem, you get to talk to a person. You don't have to scroll through listening to different voicemails or click on different buttons to get to different departments. That's the nice thing that we choose to live here, because it's friendly, it's comfortable. Our taxes are respectable. Our utilities are respectable. We have our own cable TV system, and that's a nice feature that we have. The biggest, what was the other one, Jamie?
Biggest challenge.
The biggest challenge is marketing Williamstown. If we can market Williamstown and use the platform with the Arc and the other attractions, and our downtown is starting to look better. New people who are buying buildings downtown are making a good effort to make our downtown cleaner looking. I think time will take care of that, and businesses will look at us and seriously look and consider moving here.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
We will move into closing statements. You have 2 minutes. We'll start with you, Mr. Young.
Well, this is likely the most candidates there has been for city council in many years. That's exciting to me because it has drawn much attention to the little ordinances, laws, and policies that we have that need revisited and revamped. Whether I get elected or not, the more people that get involved and take action, the better off this community will be. Things that do not change or grow cease to exist. I would like to see Williamstown be the place where we spend our hard-earned dollar for entertainment, food, and shopping. Spending our money here versus Florence or Georgetown will raise revenue for the city and in turn eliminate the need to tax property owners heavily. And a small amount of growth and change can accomplish all of this without Williamstown becoming so big it doesn't feel like our hometown anymore. Thank you.
Mr. Crupper, you have 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Thank you, Jamie. First of all, I want to thank you all for having this on tonight. It gives us all an opportunity to spend time here to see the citizens of Grant County as well as Williamstown. And it's nice that an interesting group of people come out to find out what's going on. I want to thank also the support that I've had for 27 years being on council. I've enjoyed it. It's a passion. It's part of my life that I've enjoyed doing this. For me, it's great because I live here. I've chose to live here. I enjoy living here, and that's why I like being on council, so that I have a responsibility of keeping the taxes respectable. And my business is here. My employees are here. Most of them live here in Williamstown, and it's just been a blessing to serve you all here in Williamstown. I've watched a lot of things over 27 years. We built a new city building. We've had a new water plant, new sewer plant. Various things have happened. We've had our challenges that we've always met, and it's been great working with the council of the past, and I look forward to looking with the council that after the election. Look forward to working with them and the mayor, and thank you for the support that you all have given me to be elected and hope to be reelected. Thanks again.
And Mr. Maines, you have 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Okay, first of all, I would like to thank Jamie, the Chamber of Commerce, the Grant County News, the Williamstown Cable, and the Dry Ridge Cable, if I got you right, and the Williamstown School and all other staff. The City of Williamstown has a great infrastructure. We have a wonderful fire department, police department, state-of-the-art water and sewer plant. We own our own cable, electric, and street department. The city has the Ark, which brings in thousands of visitors daily, and everyone knows the city of Williamstown is ready for new business and development. And one thing I'd like to say is when I was in there with everybody, everybody got along. I mean, that's what we need to do, is all get along, and everybody did in that room, and I was impressed. You know, nothing was said, you know, we all got along. We had fun. And I, Ronnie Maines, would appreciate your vote November the 6th. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, you've got 2 minutes for a closing statement.
I would just like to echo everything that Ronnie said. He pretty much thanked everybody. I'd like to thank the candidates. I'd like to thank Jamie. I'd like to thank everyone, you all, for coming and hearing what your possible elected officials have to say, what their stance on things is. It's great to see involvement like that in a small town. I feel like in the 2 years that I've been on the city council, we've accomplished a lot. Some of those things have been listed so far tonight, and you've heard us talk about it. It's a good start. I think we're working towards developing downtown. It's going to take time, but we have to be able to do it from a standpoint of picking and choosing what we want to come in. We can't get excited about shiny, flashy things and overextend ourselves as a city and not have in place the infrastructure and the plan that's what we're going to need in order to have Williamstown grow. We want the kind of businesses, we want the kinds of people, we want to pick and choose. And I feel like in a very short while, people are going to be standing in line to get on that short list of the ones that are coming to Williamstown to live and work and seek entertainment. So I would just like to ask that on November 6th, you cast your vote for the person that you believe is going to be on the city council and is going to serve your interest as best as possible. So thank you.
And Mr. Perry, 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Like I said, I have served over 17 years on the council, and through that time, I've worked for two great mayors, Glenn Coel and Rick Skinner. It's been a pleasure to work under them. What makes our city unique is we own all of our utilities. Earlier in the years when we had the bad storm and tore down all kind of electric poles and everything, our city workers stayed on it. They brought people from other departments and they stayed on it till everything was fixed. If we were buying our utility or electric from Duke, we might have waited for 2 or 3, 4 days before they got to little Williamstown. And that's what makes our city unique. And I'm like Kim, this is a passion for me. I love being on city council, but I love helping people when they call and you can go up to city building and you fill out a ticket, a trouble ticket or something, and you get it done because maybe the city workers don't know about it. And once again, and I especially want to thank everybody in the audience for staying here this late. I really want to thank y'all, whether you're from Williamstown or Credden or Dry Ridge. I'm glad you all stayed. And I would like for the people who voted for me before to vote for me again. And thank you.
Okay, thank you, candidates. This concludes your time on stage. And last but not least, we will have our second set of Williamstown Council candidates. And I've covered a lot of elections in my time in Grant County, and I can't remember a time when we had more city council candidates for Williamstown and Dry Ridge, and that's a good thing to give voters choices. So our next set of candidates will be Amanda Howell Winters, Ronnie West, Georgia Dahlberg, and Greg Middleton. Candidates, I'll remind you, our timekeeper is down front. If she holds up the 30-second sign, You have 30 seconds to complete your answer. And if you hear the bell, your time is up. We'll start with 2-minute opening statements. Mrs. Howell Winters, we'll start with you.
Good evening. My name's Amanda Howell Winters. I was born and raised here in Grant County. Attended Williamstown schools, graduated from here in 2001. Live here, of course, still with my husband, Jeremy Winters, who's on the school board here at Williamstown, and our daughter, Bianca, who turned a year old yesterday. I am the chiropractor here in Williamstown, so I do own a business here in town. I've been on council for the last 4 years, and I have really, really enjoyed my time. I feel like I could probably fill this room with the number of things that I have learned in the last 4 years. It's been a very educational experience. I've learned a lot about the things that you can and can't do, really. In a city council position, I ran with one thing in mind, that I just wanted to do something good. I wanted to do something good to help the city and do those kinds of things. And sometimes that's not what city council is about. Lots of times it is. Lots of times you do get to do good things and make a difference, but sometimes that's really not what it's about. It's much bigger picture. It's making policies and reaching out to business owners and citizens individually and finding out what things are affecting their lives and trying to go back and change. Maybe it's a sign ordinance that somebody's having trouble with that they want to be able to fix, those kinds of things. So working with people very specifically to make little changes rather than going to try to make some big change or repaint the whole town or do any of those kinds of things. So a lot of folks asked me leading up to the race if I was going to run again. And I said that I wasn't because I just had a little girl. She's a year old. And I said, no, I'm not going to run again. I've served my time. I enjoyed it. And I think that I'm done. But as this term is wrapped up, I've remembered a lot more about how much I really love
Thank you.
what we do.
Mr. West, you have 2 minutes for an opening statement.
Good evening. My name is Ronnie West. I was born and raised here in Grant County. I put in 40 years as a police officer for 2 cities, the state and the state alcohol beverage control. I'm retired and married to my wife, Darlene. We live here in the city limits of Williamstown, of course. And we have 2 children and 3 beautiful grandchildren. And I ran for city council. I'm retired. I've got time to spend working to help the city. One of the things I would like to see, I'd like to see growth in the city. I think that the city council, along with the city attorney, the Chamber of Commerce, and maybe 2 or 3 of the business people in Williamstown need to get together and try to formulate an incentive package to help draw business into Williamstown. I mean, the Ark's right here, and Dry Ridge is getting all the business, and other than a few people that have opened up homes to rent rooms, that's it. That's all we're getting. And our forefathers came up with a plan when they built this city, and I think that can be done again, and we can increase the size of this town and benefit from the Ark. The people that are coming here.
Thank you. Ms. Dahlberg, you have 2 minutes for an opening statement.
My name is Georgia Dahlberg, and I'm running for Williamstown City Council. Let me say that I'm a unhyphenated American. My father was a Swedish American, and his parents came from Sweden. They were immigrants. They were legal immigrants, but they never spoke Swedish around the house because they wanted to be Americans first. I love this Constitution of ours and also the Bill of Rights. But what is the idea of America? America is a nation of self-governors, and I'm sure you all can govern your lives pretty darn well by yourselves. So who am I? I'm a registered professional engineer. I've been that for a long, long time. We have in this town a brand new water plant. We also have a pretty darn new septic plant. And I've been involved in both of those over the years. So if something goes wrong, I'm the kind of a problem solver you might want on the city council. As a member of your city council, I promise you that I will not vote for any kind of solution that involves lessening your rights as American citizens. I walk my dog Flicka up and down the roads darn near every day, and I see the deterioration that takes place in our town. And I want to see a vibrant, economically vibrant Williamstown, one that we can all be proud of, one that you'd like to come down to and spend some time. And I hate to see people coming out of the arc in buses and cars and fleeing north and south to better prospects up the interstate. And if elected, I'll work for just that. Thank you very much.
And Mr. Middleton, you have 2 minutes for an opening statement.
Good evening, everyone. Appreciate everyone hanging around to see us. And my name is Greg Middleton. I've lived in Grant County my entire life, and more specifically in Williamstown for 23 years with my wife, Misty, and our 2 daughters, Carly and Haley. I earned a bachelor's degree in accounting from Northern Kentucky University, and I'm the general manager of SRM Concrete, which was formerly Grant County Concrete, where I've worked for 27 yees. Misty is a superintendent here at school at Williamstown, and Carly, our oldest daughter, is a 2016 graduate of Williamstown and attends Murray State, studying journalism, public relations, and communications. Haley is a junior here at Williamstown School and keeps us busy in sports, all 3 of them, basketball, volleyball, and softball. I'm an active member of Williamstown Baptist Church, where I'm an usher, a deacon, a counter, and serve on the finance committee. Been a member of Williamstown Kiwanis for 14 years and served 2 terms as president. I serve currently here at Williamstown School as a Key Club advisor for Kiwanis. I'm also volunteering in a community in such events as Breakfast with Santa, the recent triathlon, any trash pickups to benefit the school, and helping residents in any other needs. Basically, my desire to serve, would be my 3rd term, stemmed from my dad, who served 23 years in the sheriff's office. I've served 2 terms on council and been dedicated to putting in the time and effort to listen to others and make informed decisions on behalf of our citizens. I am approachable and have no personal agenda, only a desire to serve a community that has been good for myself and my family. I am genuinely invested in the Williamstown community, and I ask for your vote on November 6th so we can move forward. Thank you.
Mr. Middleton, we'll start with you with this question. Okay. The Ark Encounter has been open for more than 2 years now. In what ways has the tourist attraction brought change to the city, and in what ways can the city better capitalize on the tourism it is bringing here?
Good question. The Ark has brought a lot of people. We have been in talks, as Amanda alluded earlier. We've talked to some companies that are looking at land currently that we feel are close to making a purchase of land at the Williamstown exit to build a hotel. And there are businesses that are doing well in downtown, a few businesses that have opened since the Ark Encounter. So we're just trying to, as council, just listen to the business owners. And I think a lot of those companies, before they invest millions of dollars in a hotel or restaurant or facility like that, they're looking at numbers, and 2 years in, the numbers are here for the Ark. So I feel it's an exciting time that we as council, we have talked to groups, and we have been open to them coming. We'd like to see them come. We'd like to see them. But I think a lot of it is just actually the numbers that companies are looking for before they make that investment. But I do feel we are on the brink of some good things happening.
Ms. Dahlberg, same question. In what ways has the ARC brought change to the city, and in what ways can the city better capitalize on the tourism it is bringing here?
Well, as I walk up and down the main street, I see an awful lot of closed businesses that I've seen come and go, empty storefronts, and it's sad to see that. I'd like to see far more businesses open their doors and survive. What I don't see is buses full of people who are visiting the ARC stop in Williamstown. From what I understand, they pick up people somewhere north of Cincinnati, drive them down here for the ARC, then drive them on back up without even slowing down through Williamstown. They don't go through Williamstown. I'd like to see that stop. Wouldn't it be great to have a bus that leaves Williamstown and goes down with a sign on it that says, take a tour of downtown Williamstown. We'll drop you back off at the ARC so you can continue to see what you can see in the gift stores and that kind of thing. I think that would really raise the revenue in this town and give a lot of impetus for people to start new businesses. And that's what we really need. Thank you.
Mr. West, in what ways has the ARC brought change to the city, and in what ways can the city better capitalize on the tourism it is bringing here?
Well, to be blunt, I really haven't seen much that it's done for Williamstown. It's all going to Dry Ridge, to Scott County, to Boone County. And that's one of the reasons that I feel like that, you know, we need to come up with a plan. I mean, there has to be a way to get people in here more interested in building here. You know, I think we need to go talk to landowners and see what land's available. You know, I know of 2 or 3 pieces of prime property right now that something could be built on, and it's sitting there empty. But, you know, a lot of people talk about the downtown, and I'm all for the downtown business coming back. Because I can remember as a kid being in Williamstown when you couldn't already find a place to park. But we're going to have to get something on the outside big enough to attract the people to get them here. Then we can work on the downtown. And then I think even on the downtown, we need to come up with some sort of a theme for the downtown. You know, I don't think we need a souvenir shop here and a dog grooming shop here. And you know, look at Pigeon Forge, for instance. I mean, those.
Thank you. Ms. Winters, same question. In what ways has the ARC brought change to the city, and in what ways can the city better capitalize on the tourism it is bringing here?
I would have never guessed you were going to ask me that. One of the biggest things I think that was a surprise to me about being on council was that you can't just go in and say, we're going to bring businesses in and find them, because that's just not a thing that happens. There's not a packet you pick up on your way into your first city council meeting that gives you the names and addresses of all these people to contact to bring businesses in. We have been in talks, as Greg mentioned, with a number of different hotel chains and different folks who want to develop different areas. And what we're seeing is that this moves really at a snail's pace. There are things happening. There are folks, even local folks, who have made purchases of properties and multiple properties that are developing things. But as the numbers increase and the number of people staying in town increase as hotels begin to open, those things are going to begin to multiply. What happens is when businesses want to come here, they come to this city and they want to know what we want to do for them. And so we participate in a constant struggle of trying to figure out how much milk to offer in the name of selling the cow. So that's been, like I said, probably the most interesting thing to me about being on council.
Ms. Dahlberg, we'll ask you this question. What do you believe are the responsibilities of a council person, and how will you serve the city residents by more than attending meetings?
This county or this city needs somebody who can solve problems. I hear lots and lots of talk about what is coming and what a wonderful thing it's going to be in the near future, but I don't see any final results. An engineer can do for $2 what any darn fool can do for $5. And I'm good at solving problems, and whatever the heck is the holdup, I think as a council person, that's something that we should concentrate on. We should concentrate on the important things to this city instead of going off in tangents and solving smoking problems that we recently enacted. I think we should all look around for simple and final solutions, something that is permanent that we can do, and finish off some of these projects that we've been talking about for years.
Mr. West, what do you believe are the responsibilities of a council person, and how will you serve the city residents by more than attending meetings?
Well, I realize there isn't a package handed out with the names of all the businesses to call, but I'm sure through the chamber, surely to God, they've got the names of some businesses that would be interested in coming out here with the Ark being as big of attraction as it is. I mean, that'd be like going to well, I can't think of the name of it. But anyway, you know, it'd be like going to a big attraction and nothing there. I mean, there's got to be a way for the city council to get together with the chamber and some business people and find out how to get some people in here. I mean, it's not brain surgery. I mean, we've all got telephones, and you know, maybe we need to pick them up and start using them. And I've got the time to do it, and I'll be glad to do it. And that's the reason I ran. And
Thank you. Ms. Winters, what do you believe are the responsibilities of a city council person, and how will you serve the city residents by more than attending meetings?
The thing about being on council is that there's no problem that you are the one person that knows how to solve. It is about working with the other 5 members of council and with the mayor, and sometimes leaning on their knowledge. When we talk about building projects, I don't build buildings. I don't do construction. I crack backs. And I say that to them often. I will say, this is what I think, but I want to know what you guys think, because you know, this is what you do, or it's what you have more experience in. So by working with other members of council, by working with the mayors, by working with other members of the community, and other associations in town, to figure out what the priorities are of our constituents, to figure out what the priorities are of the businesses who are interested in coming in and want to know what we have to offer them, and yielding when I don't have the most expertise in the subject, and taking a stand when there's something that I do feel passionate about.
Mr. Middleton, what do you believe are the responsibilities of a city council person, and how will you serve the city residents by more than attending meetings?
Our primary responsibility as council is the establishment of the budget. That's the mayor recommends the budget to council, but it's council's approval that passes the budget or gives input on the budget on our budget council meetings. So as a government body, that's our member of the council, that is what we do. Our budget is over $12 million. So we do sit down with department heads in these meetings and go over their needs. And as a council member the last 4 years, I'm going to allude a little bit in my closing, but you know, we have worked with the chamber on the MGP property here. They've put quite an investment into that, which is going to the storage of bourbon barrels, which was a loss at one time for with Phillips. But so I see that as a plus. It's going to push back in the community, and that's all.
Okay. All right, Ronnie West, we'll start with you. What do you feel is Williamstown's biggest asset, and what is the city's biggest challenge?
Its biggest what now?
Asset, and what is its biggest challenge?
Well, I think the biggest asset is the fact that they own their own electric, their own water, their own sewage. I think that's, that's where the biggest portion of the income comes from, or at least it was when I worked there and had to do a budget. But that's their biggest asset. What was the other one?
What is the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge? Well, I know there's a lot to do on council besides working to get businesses in here, but that's something that, I think needs to become a part of the council's job. I've been around councils for many years. I was always on the other side. I was the employee and I worked for the council. And I realize that there are some specific problems that councils have, but you can't go get a hamburger in Williamstown. You can't go get a dinner. Sunday we get out of church, we go to Cracker Barrel. All the people from the arts.
Thank you. Ms. Winters, what do you feel is Williamstown's biggest asset, and what is the city's biggest challenge?
I feel like the city's greatest asset is not really a tangible one. Our greatest asset is our community, the people that are here that care so much about our town, that are, the majority of the businesses in Williamstown are owned by folks in Williamstown. I can't think of very many that aren't, if any. People here want to invest in our community. They want to see our community grow, and they want to be involved in that process. So I very much feel like that is, that's our biggest asset by far. Our greatest challenge is at times a fear to grow. So our community is both our greatest asset and at times our greatest challenge. That we want things to grow, but sometimes we don't want things to change. And I feel like at times that holds us back.
Mr. Middleton, what do you feel is Williamstown's biggest asset, and what is the city's biggest challenge?
Well, I feel we have a lot of assets, but probably our biggest is just the pride in our community, and people come here to raise families. I know I did. Just the people that we deal with as council and as a member of church, and just being in the community. We have great people here. So, and with our city, we have a lot of great employees, a lot of our department heads, and just people putting in a great amount of work. So as a city, we're very blessed with an infrastructure that I feel is ready for growth. And just as Amanda, just echoing this, just the people, a sense of community and pride. Challenges would be competing with other cities for this growth, for the economic development. We have looked at things and, without shelving out money or giving huge tax breaks to maybe a downtown business, where I feel like we have other businesses we can't neglect just because they're not in downtown. But it's a challenge for those companies to attract and just break the mentality that so that is a great challenge.
Ms. Dahlberg, what do you believe are Williamstown's biggest assets and the biggest challenges the city faces?
I think the biggest asset we have is our young people and our children. We have a wonderful school here that produces very good students They go off to colleges and they never come back because there's no jobs here for them. And if you don't have small businesses growing that can hire kids back into the town that they grew up in, you don't have much. They're just, this is just a process of getting rid of the children. And we need something to retain our kids, to retain our talent. The biggest challenge that we have is just that, is being able to give the kids something to come back to Williamstown for, to come back to a decent job, doing decent, good work. And that's my main goal, is to see not just the downtown. If the downtown is flourishing, the rest of the city will as well. We have lost an awful lot of good businesses. We've lost the entertainment that we had from Elmer's from not that long ago, where people from all over the county came for entertainment, and we sorely miss that kind of a thing. Perhaps we can find it again. Thank you.
We'll move into closing statements. Mr. Middleton, we'll start with you. You have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Okay. During my 4 years on serving on council, we have worked on building an infrastructure, and we have a state-of-the-art water plant, upgrades to our cable and electric departments, and opened a new splash park for entertainment for young kids in the city and county. In the last year, we've built a relationship with MGP, and they've invested $10 million into a renovation in addition to their facility, which is going to add tax base to our county, and to our city and our school district. There have also been some growth of small businesses downtown, and we expect even more growth with the Arc Encounter as they continue to expand their operations. In the last year, we've worked on a smoke-free air ordinance, and we blacktopped 7 streets in the city, and working with the owners of the Williamstown Marina, who are doing a lot of good things at the marina and adding entertainment there for a lot of county and city people, as well as the bypass at I-75. The council put forth a safety assessment fee, which happened in 2017, and that helps secure money for our police and fire budgets, and it helps relieve a little bit of a strain on our budget, honestly. I believe the most pressing issues facing the city is, as we said earlier, capitalizing on growth opportunities, attracting new businesses, and helping our current business owners. And it is important for council to build relationships, and I think we have tried to do that. It takes time. I have a great passion for our city to thrive and continue to be a community where families can raise their children. My experience in business, managing a business within budget restraints, has served well in working with council and working with our budget.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Dahlberg, you have 2 minutes to make a closing statement.
As I walk around this town, I see sides of roads that have been eroded by the heavy downpour of rain we've had over this last spring and summer too. And nothing ever seems to get done about it. We should be able to maintain our roads and maintain our bridges too. If you go over the Caldwell Bridge, you'll see a lot of dislocated concrete that should be fixed. There are some things, including the log cabin, the Arnold log cabin, whose sills are rotting away. This has been brought to the mayor's attention well over a year ago. Nothing has been done about it. It seems to be so many things that need to be fixed are pushed off for one thing or another. I think we've got too much power in the city council's hands. They run our water, they run our sewage, they run our electric, they run all of our utilities, they run all of our communications as well. And that's all well and good, but I think that with all that, it should be reduced. We should be able to cut down a little bit on the taxes in this county. And nobody seems to be talking about that at all. So my whole thing is, I am good at solving problems. I take a look at a problem and I study it and I find a solution that is permanent. We don't seem to have any permanent solutions around here. Everything is just glossed over and let to go to hell. And I'm afraid that's got to come to an end. That's all I've got to say.
Mr. West, you have 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Well, like I said earlier, I've lived around in Grant County my whole life, Dry Ridge or Williamstown. I've been in Williamstown for 17 years. And, you know, I can remember when the downtowns of both Dry Ridge and Williamstown were flourishing. Businesses couldn't wait at Christmas time to get to the one store up there, had the toys in the basement. But, you know, our forefathers had a vision, and they took that vision and they put it to a plan, and they built this city. And I would like to see us grow on that the same way that they did when they come up with this town. I mean, it didn't just pop up out of the ground. Somebody had to have a vision and a plan and put it together and make it a city. So in making it a city, here we are in the 20th century. Surely to God, we can help make it better and help it to grow. I mean, I don't know the guy at Marriott, but you know, they got phones. I know how to find out who he is, and I'm not afraid to call him. And it may be for Neil, but at least I've made the call. Same way with the guy, you know, how's Dry Ridge getting these people? They're not just floating in and saying, you know, I want to build here. Somebody's got to be making some phone calls. And I know the city went out on the limb and put in the infrastructure
Thank
for
you.
this last.
Thank you. Ms. Winters, you have 2 minutes for a closing statement.
I have loved and enjoyed my 4 years on city council. Our primary objective is to take care of our citizens and our business owners in town, and to represent them well. I've had many of you contact me for different issues because you're not sure why a certain property hasn't been mowed or something hasn't been taken care of, because someone wasn't sure or someone disagreed with the way things were taken care of when the city put a water line through as far as their property was concerned. Someone had a hole in the sidewalk in front of their business. All of those people have reached out to me. All of those people have heard from me. Even if I could just go and stand with that person and say that is a really big hole and it's a really big problem and let's see what we can do about it. I've tried to make myself available and tried to do those things. Our second major responsibility is to be a good steward of the city's money, to make decisions that are going to make ends meet for the city, to make sure that all of the things that come up through the year are covered. And sometimes that does mean raising taxes. Sometimes it doesn't mean raising taxes. I have very much enjoyed my time. I hope that you think I've done a good job. If you think I've done a good job, I hope that you'll vote for me on election day. If you do not, I hope that you'll vote for one of your other options, because that's what this process is about. That's all I have.
This concludes our first night of the 2018 Fall Meet the Candidates Forum, sponsored by the Grant County News and the Grant County Chamber of Commerce. The second of our 2 nights of forums will continue tomorrow at 6:30. Please stay seated because we're still taping. The second of our 2 nights of forums will continue tomorrow at 6:30 here at Williamstown Schools and will feature U.S. Representative and State Representative candidates, as well as all county offices. We'd like to thank Roy Osborne and Dale Caskey in the Williamstown Cable Department, Brent Cummins from the City of Dry Ridge, all the volunteers who assisted us this evening, as well as Misty Middleton, Todd Dupin, and Brandy Fagan, and the staff of Williamstown High School for allowing us to use the facilities. I'd like to thank everyone in our live audience, as well as those who will watch this later on cable. The Grant County News will also be publishing a special profiles of candidates in an upcoming issue. This forum will be rebroadcast on Williamstown's local access channel, which is channel 16, and on Spectrum Channel 186 on Saturday and Sunday for the next 2 weekends. Tonight's forum will be featured on Saturday, and tomorrow night's forum will be featured on Sunday. This forum will also be rebroadcast on Cincinnati Bell Channel 825, and you can also go to the City of Dry Ridge's website at cdrky.org and stream it from there. As a reminder, it is important for each and every citizen to exercise their right and privilege to vote in the November 6th election. Those elected will set the course for Grant County for the future. Every race is important and every vote does count. Thank you all for being here tonight.